I begin. Okay. Yeah. So, uh, 상계셔도 속에서는 전제보다 더 결정이 나게 저도 이게 저는 이제 별로 편지 상계도 말하시오. Okay. Uh, so we begin. Uh, so we begin from the last. So we continue. We continue from the last where we stopped. It's a page. I think page 9. Page 9. From the page down, the last line. Yeah, around the last line. Now that we have gained this optimum human form, we should do something to derive some essence from it. So last time we talked a bit about this, right? So we will explain on this. So yeah, it says after having taken the precious human birth, optimum human birth, one need to take the essence from it, right? So on the way to take the essence, how are we going to take the essence? How are we going to take the essence? So then, yeah, in order to take the essence, what do we mean by taking essence? Now we need to, go through the, spiritual training, the training of the person of the three capacities, right? So in order to take the essence, first we need to develop the wish and the desire to take the essence from this life, right? So although we need to talk, a little bit about, what are the methods, the causes for taking the, essence from this, birth. But I won't, elaborate. I won't go much into detail. So to make the, a long story short, what we really need is, to, try to, first of all, try to, meditate, try to reflect on the, try to reflect on the suffering of the three lower limbs, which is extremely important, which then make, uh, then we develop a very sincere, and sincere desire, sincere wish to take the essence. And not only that, and one of the most important thing, for taking the essence from very this life is is uh, looking at the transient, looking at the transient and the illusion life, the illusion, mm, the illusion things around us, right? Illusion things around us. So once we are able to develop this kind of recognition, then the wish to take the essence from this life automatically come, and uh, seeing that, seeing everything, seeing the life, seeing everything as illusion, the mere illusion, uh, has a lot of benefit, now. For example, not only that it, it allows you to cultivate the wish to take the essence from this life, but also even in the dream time, it really helps, and even in the intermediate state, it helps. Now, for example, if we do not meditate on the transient, the transient then in illusion nature of, illusion of, each and everything, you know, what really, what problem that we would face is that even now, for example, right, uh, you know, sometimes, our mind, cling to the, to the things of this life, too, tightly clinging on this, too much attached to the, the things of this life. By doing this, it makes the situation worse. Now, for example, even in the dream time, even in the dream time, sometimes we have nightmare, right? Sometimes we have nightmare. Even in the nightmare, sometimes, people wake up from the nightmare with a sweating and, the shortage of breathing. Why it happens? you know so why it really happened is because, the propensity, the karmic imprints of, clinging to this life is carried on to even in the dream time. Then in the dream time, this further carried out in the parto. So for example, right, after, when we enter into the parto, what we really what we would feel is, we think we are still alive. So this, even in the, pardo, we continue to, cling on the things, we continue to, attach to all these things. And because of this, even in the pardo, in the intermediate state, then, we, cling and attach to each and everything, even the hallucination. Because in the pardo, mostly we are, constantly and chased and, tormented by the hallucinations, one after the another. There's too much hallucination that we would, encounter and face in the pardo intermediate state. So because of, clinging too much in this life, this, carries on even in the dream time also carries on this to the pardo state, intermediate state. So in the intermediate state, we then believe the hallucinations to be true and, really real. And because of this, these hallucinations further causes the more suffering even in the, intermediate state. So in this way, so this kind of thinking, this kind of thought, or this kind of thought, what is sometimes called a mistaken thought, carried on life after lifetime, right? So it won't bring any positive result. It won't bring any positive result. So therefore, in the once daytime, even once daytime in the practice, in once, in this very life, we are taught to seeing all the things, all the appearances mere illusion, mere like, mirage, the mirage, the illusions, and the like magical illusions, and so and so forth. So once we are well trained in all these things, seeing all the things, around us, as mere illusion, then it really helps, if strengthened, once a practice is further strengthened in the dream time, even in the dream time, that we are able to recognize, dream as a dream. When we identify dream as a dream, there is nothing that we, we would hold, dream as something real. So in the dream, we are able to then identify, recognize dream as a dream. If we are very good at, this kind of practice, dream as a dream, then in the parto, then all the hallucinations we are able to see, all the hallucinations are fake, fake, and they are, have no basis. We are able to see the illusions, right? Now, for example, in the intermediate state, in the pardo, when we are able to see all the things as mere illusion, the manifestation of the illusions, illusions, like, yeah, many kinds of illusions, right? Then what it has to do with ourselves, right? Yes, it has to do so many things, In the pardo, if we are, if we are able to do this, to see the to see the dream, to see the the object, to see the appearances in the pardo as mere illusion, then what it does is it help us, you know, it help us to identify the pardo as a pardo, you know, and then in the pardo we also identify that uh, we, mm, we are no longer alive in the pardo. When we are able to identify that we are no longer alive, what it helps is then it helps us to develop this, the wish to seek the rebirth. Now, what kind of rebirth that we are able that we wish to seek is then we are able to see the, for example, the rebirth in the pure land, right? Because of the, in the pardo, we identify, oh, I'm no longer exist. Because in many cases, we still believe, oh, I'm alive still, I'm not dead. So we believe that I'm no longer alive in the pardo. So once we are able to identify this, then we try to see the rebirth, new rebirth. Now, in the new rebirth, then we should say, oh, I should not take the rebirth in, I should not take the rebirth in samsara. It's I have had enough. It's too much for me. And then you develop a sincere wish to seek, I'm now going to seek the rebirth in the pure land. Then the important thing also is that one need to have the generic image of the what pure land look like. There are different kinds of pure land, of the Buddha's pure land. Right? There are different kinds of Buddha's pure land. Potala, how it looks like. You look at how it looks like. Santaras in a pure land. Avalokiteshvara's pure land. Vajrayogini's pure land. Buddha Amitabha's pure land. Padmasambhava's pure land. And then the manifest joyful pure land. So there are different variety of the pure land. Then the important thing is one need to have the generic image, how it looks like, Then we develop a very sincere, strong desire to go there. With this, then we are able to reach to the pure land from the intermediate state, within the intermediate state. In order to do that, one need to see the pardo as a pardo, pardo as a pardo, all the things as mere illusions. In order to see that, first one need to train the dream time. In order to make the dream, practice successful, one need to train while one is alive on this earth, right? So one after the another, then one's whole practice become, very powerful, right? So not only this, if we are very well trained in many of the practice, now when you engage in, for example, right, this is this is as compared to other Vajrayana practice, this is quite some kind of what I call as is pretty not that hard, not that hard to do. In some Vajrayana practice, then we, while we're alive, there are some, practice, like, completion stage practice, first, one we need to do when one is alive, one need to perfect when one is while one is alive in the daytime. When you have perfected the practice in the daytime, then one is able to do perfectly well in the dream time. When one is able to perfectly do well in the dream time, then automatically one is able to do even in the pardo state, intermediate state. So this is how we, how we try to, train one after the another without doing any kind of practice in the daytime, in the dream time, all of a sudden trying to do practice in the pardo is impossible. There's no way, right? So that is again important. And then when it relates to how the pure land looks like, I will explain later. I will explain later. So first, let me read. Then, Mm, so long as we, we should do something to derive some essence from it. So this is very, very important. This is how to take the essence. We may understand, how to take essence, but how do we go about taking the essence? That really matters. That really matters. Sometimes we are doing the practice very good, very, very nice, but then sometimes, when we do the practice, the way we do the practice, and then we do the practice, and sometimes our practice does not seem powerful because one does not know how to do in the right way, how to do in the right way. So doing the practice in the right way is extremely important. And not only this, also, to make the ones, practice something very powerful, powerful smoothly, one need to, see the things from the different angle, to see the from the different angle, right? So so that's important. So long as we do not examine in this life, we will not feel joy whatsoever in finding such a supreme rebirth, and would probably be happier on finding some pennies, some coins. We will not feel at all sorry if we waste this optimum human birth, rebirth. We would probably feel much more regret if we lost some money. But this physical form we have now is 100,000 times more valuable than any wish granting jewel. So, you know, so long as we do not, so it says, so long as we do not examine this life, we will feel no joy whatsoever in finding such a supreme rebirth, right? So now, uh, it talks about, finding, the joy in finding the joy in having a precious human, but optimum. I always use optimum, right? Optimum. So when I deal with the human birth, as I said earlier, always think that this not the human birth. Human birth complete with 8 freedom and 10 endowments. So this human birth we are talking about every time I discuss about human birth, right? So this one. So this human birth, this kind of human birth, if we try to look only from the, materialistic outlook, if we try to look at it from the material aspect, we will not find any that much joy in having this pure human birth, such a wonderful human birth. Yet on the other hand, if we are able to see this from the uh, dharma viewpoint, from the practice viewpoint, then there is so much opportunity that we should feel rejoice of, that we should, really, uh, uh, that we should really appreciate it of, right? Now, uh, so, as I said, one of the main thing, one of the main thing, why should I, why each of us should, should value the precious human birth? We everybody know, but that's pretty, difficult to do unless one understands the very essence of how to feel grateful for having such a precious human birth, right? So if we really try to look in the Lamdam teachings, for example, sometimes, uh, in the Lamdam it talks about, it talks about the suffering of the, hell. It talks about the suffering of the, animal. It talks about suffering of the hungry ghost. Sometimes we may wonder what it has to do with me. Instead of inspiring, it, really discourage us. We feel sometimes in that way because we already have suffering. We are already going through suffering, that problem, this problem, and wonder why it has to do with me. If we if we really think very well, this is meditation and reflection on the suffering of the hungry ghost, hell, and then the animal. is one of the supreme teaching, supreme instructions for seeing the high valuable of one's human life. Because why? Because sometimes we have, we do not appreciate, we do not appreciate such a human birth. Now, if we ourselves think that I am a hungry ghost, I am a hungry ghost, and then imagine how I'm tormenting, how I'm going through suffering. At that point, we realize such a highly priceless human birth that I've obtained, that we should really feel grateful of. So sometimes we, in Tibetan, we say, unless we meet with the bitter, taste, we do not realize the sweetness of the taste, flavor that we are, enjoying. So that's very, very true, right? So because, and then on the top of that, many of the things we take for granted. We take for the human life. Oh, that's easy, like this, not, not thinking about what really makes the human life so valuable, so precious, priceless, valuable, rare, very rare, difficult to obtain, right? So these things is extremely important.
So then, just to clarify, what you're saying is that we should know the suffering in the hell realms, in the lower realms, so that we can aspire not to be commit any um, non-virtuous acts, so that we will end up in those lower realms, right? And also for us to, when we understand where the many different nirvana realms, or the God's realms, and the three higher realms, that would give us an aspiration to be reborn in those, right? Okay, go ahead. It should be okay then.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. So that's, understanding, thinking about, that's why what we say, when we think about, practice, we really need to understand, what really this practice has to do, you know. So then once we understand, all the practice, comes one after the another automatically, right? So that's very, very important. Then, then we will read. Uh, so from the, if we look only from the materialistic, viewpoint, then we don't feel much joy. There's nothing to feel joy about, even if we, obtain such a precious mean, but we won't feel much that appreciative of. Yet on the other hand, if we, look at the, this life and the precious human but that we have from the dharma viewpoint, from the, dharma practice viewpoint, then it's, we have plenty of resources, we have plenty of basis and the foundation that we should feel grateful of, right, to have this precious human birth. And then one of the driving force, one of the main cause for, developing the appreciative of such a having such a precious human birth is reflecting and thinking on the suffering of the three lower limbs. Then we will read, yeah, on those important points I will discuss, otherwise I will read, we will not feel at all joy, sorry, we will not feel at all sorry if we waste this optimum human birth. We would probably feel much more regret if we lost some money. If we look purely from the materialist weapon alone, this alone, then we don't feel anything. But this physical form we have now is 100,000 times more valuable than any wish granting jewel. If you were to clean a wish granting jewel by washing it 3 times, polishing it 3 times, and then offer it at the top of the victory banner, you would effortlessly obtain the good things in this life, find food, clothes, and the like. You may obtain 100,000, 10,000, even 100,000 such gems, but they cannot do for you even the smallest thing that you can achieve by means of this rebirth, for they cannot be used to prevent you from taking your next rebirth in the lower realms. Very true. No matter how how powerful, no matter how how many precious gems you have, wish granting precious gem you have, the only thing that the wish granting jewel can do is to provide some accommodations, food, clothing, and to some extent very good places, the good houses, and all these things. Yet, on the other hand, it will not do anything to help you prevent from falling into the lower realm, right? So, if we were to fall into lower realm, then it's not that much, surprising that it can do so many things. With your present physical form, you can prevent yourself from ever going to the lower realms again. So, you with this, precious human birth, you can do, you can do much, so many things, right? That's why we say, that's why Buddha say, we are our own protector. We are our own refuge. We are our own destroyer. You know, we are our own protector. We are our own enemy. So this is Buddha said, everything is in one's hand, right? So it's being the case that everything is in our hand, that's why whether we go to the pure land, whether we go to the favorable existence, whether we go to the lower realm, is everything is on the hand, the fate is in our hand, the fate is everything in our hand. So therefore, with this precious human birth, then we can stop all the causes for taking the unfavorable existence in the next life. Moreover, if you want to achieve the physical rebirth of a Brahma in Indra and so forth, you can achieve it through your present one. Okay. Uh, Now I will I will give you some idea about how the Brahma look like, the Brahma realm look like, how the the Pure Land look like. Oh, 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 yeah, yeah, this one. Yeah, so here, you see, uh, uh, this one. This is Mount Meru. This is Mount Meru. Can you see, right? This is Mount Meru. So this is surrounded, on the base of the Mount Meru is surrounded by the seven rivers and seven the mountains, seven mountains and seven rivers, right? So on this is the Mount Meru, and on the top of this is what we call as four guardian kings. The four guardian kings lives here. The four guardian kings live here. They are actually the six different types of gods in the desire realm. Six different types of gods in the desire realm. So of these, the first desire, the god of the desire realm is four uh, kings. We call four kings, four guardian kings. So this is the lowest, on the Mount Meru here. Then on the top of that, we call 33 realm. 33 realm. So 33 realm is where now we are discussing, Indra, Indra, because Indra and all his cabinet ministers, including there are 32 main one, but there are many limitless gods, many gods in this pure land, 33 realm, So above the four guardian kings, there's a 33 realm, right? So even if you want to take a rebirth in that place, in that realm, you can do with this precious human birth. right? We can do this, take rebirth with this precious human birth. And then on the top of that, uh, precious, on the top of that, this 33 realm is without combat, right? Um, without combat. And then there's a realm called without combat. That means they don't fight. The gods in that realm does not fight, right? So that's why it's called without combat. And then on the top of the combat is now what pure land is. There is one pure land called Tushita, right? So there's a Buddha Shakyamuni. Oh, sorry. So this is Tushita, right? On the top of the without combat realm is Tushita. Tushita is a pure land. This is where Buddha Maitreya lives here. Buddha Maitreya giving the teaching in this pure land. This is the residence of Buddha Maitreya. Now, interestingly, when now Buddha Maitreya staying here, right, lives here. Now, when the time for Buddha Maitreya, when the time for his coming into this world comes, then Buddha Maitreya comes into this world. Now, who lives in another Buddha? The next Buddha coming to live in this this Tushita. So the next Buddha comes to live in this Tushita, and then the next after the Buddha Maitreya is Buddha Lion's Roar. Buddha Lion's Roar. When the Buddha Lion's Roar again, take the seat of this Tushita. Again, when he comes here, another Buddha comes here. So like 1,000 Buddha of this eon continue to come on this, reside on this Tushita. So even if we were to take a rebirth on this pure land Tushita, we can do it on this precious human form, right? So then on that above the Tushita is now, there is a one pure land, not pure land, but the gods of the desire realm. This is called, there's one god realm called joyful over emanation, joyful because they are delighted of taking the emanations. So there is a one pure God's realm called joyful over emanations, right? So this is the realm. So above that realm is another one, right? That is called joyful over others emanation, joyful over others emanation. So this is the sixth. So here in the desire realm, so all this belongs to the desire realm. So there are 6 different types of gods in the desire realm, right? So these, gods, definitely, yeah, they are very, very, they maintain all the cleanness, so so it's okay, I don't talk too much here. So then these are the 6 type of gods, right? So above this, above that realm is now what is called form realm. Now we have the form realm, right? So form realm. So within the form realm, there are actually there are 4 different: first concentration, second concentration, third concentration, and fourth concentration. So we have the fourth concentration, realm. So so there are in total there are 16 different types of 16 different types of the realm in this in this form realm. So how do we take rebirth in there? How are we going to take rebirth in there? So do we appreciate in taking rebirth in this? Of course, in the form realm, the method, the method being used to take a rebirth in this pure land is, I mean, the gods in this form realm, they do not have delusions, they do not have very strong delusions as we do have, because they have totally eradicated, they have totally destroyed the delusions of the desire realm. So once we are able to destroy the delusion of this desire realm temporarily, we are able to take birth in this form realm, form realm. But again, this is not surprising, right? That is not so amazing, because what they are so intoxicated. The gods, the gods in the form realms are so intoxicated by the blissful experience, the mental pleasures, the mental pleasure, that they try to remain meditate on this meditative concentration for eons and eons. They have no time much, they don't think much, they are so, distracted by the, distracted by the, so many, you know, mainly the, mental pleasures, the mental bliss, right? So, so this is the way that we, the beings take rebirth in the form realm, form realm, because, they say, oh, uh, oh, this desire realm, oh, so many problem. Yeah, I have this problem, I have that problem. You try to see, they try to see the inferiority of the, inferiority nature of the, this desire realm, and then they see the qualities, the really wonderful qualities of this form realm, because in the form realm there is not much, the problem. There's not much suffering, the pain as we used to have here in desire realm. So the life is so long, people don't have that, uh, more blissful mental state. People have more relaxed, more blissful state, more calmer, everything. You don't need to make much effort. Everything comes through the power of the merit. So by seeing in this way, they're able to temporarily uh, remove the delusions of the desired realm, and then they are able to take birth in the former realm, form realm, right? So this is how we take the birth in the form realm. Now, when we move to the formless realm, again, the formless realm, now mainly there are 4 levels, uh, uh, not, limitless consciousness, first limitless space, limitless concentration, and then nothingness, and then uh, mm, the peak, the summit. So again, this is now the formless realm. Okay, formless realm. If we now, for example, if we were to if we were to take rebirth in the formless realm, we don't need to go through bharta, intermediate state. The moment where you die, there is a formless realm. You take rebirth right away, right? So in the formless realm, again, the same, the beings there so intoxicated by the power and the force of their meditative experience, mostly at the level of the mental pleasure, mental bliss. They do have such a powerful mental bliss, right? So the duration for taking for doing the meditation is not for a few hours, not for 1 month, not for 2 months. They remain in that state for eons and eons, eons and eons. So therefore, sometimes what we do say is, in the we talk about the 8 freedoms, right? When we talk about the preciousness of the human birth, complete with eight freedom and 10 endowments. In one of the 8 freedoms, we called uh, we call not taking the birth as a long life deity. This is the long life deity. Now, those gods in the formless realm have such a long life. They remain in meditative experience for not for years and years. I'm talking about eons and eons. You imagine, right? So they, the celestial beings, the gods in the formless realm, they don't have time to think. They don't have time to study. They don't have time to time to reflect the meaning Buddha's teaching. They have no time to study, because what really happens is, the moment you take the birth, we take the birth in the formless realm, you are in meditation state, and in this meditation state lasts for eons and eons. You have not a single time to think about the Buddha Dharma. So again, they live for certain eons and eons. Once that eon is gone, once that eon is completed, once the karmic maturation once their karmic maturation is done, exhausted, again they go to lower limb. Again they go to lower limb because they didn't get to do anything powerful practice. So this is, how we take rebirth, So the beings, those celestial beings in the formless realm, right? So they have more blissful experience, far more blissful experience than the gods in the form realm and the beings in the desire realm, because the gods in the formless realm, they have temporarily destroyed all the delusions of the form realm and the form realm and the desire realm, right? So this is how we take the rebirth. So then the last one is what is called within the, now, so this is what we call as samsara. We have the desire realm, we have the form realm, we have the formless realm. All these realms are included in the samsara. So they, they take a circle, revolve here and there, and like this, So then now we have one, of these, the highest level, as we talk, about the, the 17 realm in the form realm. The highest one is what? Agnisha. Okay, it's called, it's above, you see, it's called, agnisha, right? The highest realm is agnisha. So agnisha is the, again, sorry. So agnisha is the, again, pure land. In the agnisha, there's no sun, okay? There's no moon. Everybody has the, the light from their body. When we are going to achieve enlightenment, we are going to achieve enlightenment in that state, finally, in this state, agnisha, because all the beings in there on the verge of becoming an enlightened being. When you are on the about to become an enlightened being, then you are in that state. Your body is the celestial body. You have the, you have the celestial body, the body of the god and goddesses. So in that, body, you are now going to achieve enlightenment. So this is also sometimes called as, agnisha. Agnisha, that is pure land, completely pure land. All the Buddhas in the sutra viewpoint, all the, Buddhas has to achieve, have achieved the enlightenment in this state, agnisha realm. This is a pure realm, pure land. Okay. So I think some of you may have some brief idea, the structure, So then I will read, then I will talk a little bit about the, the pure land. Now here, it says, moreover, if you want to achieve the physical rebirth of Brahma and Indra, right? So Brahma and all Indra are state, Brahma and Indra all state in the pure land, This is especially in the form realm. The gods, these are the gods of the form realm. Brahma and Indra and so forth. You can achieve it through your present precious human body. If you want to go to pure realms such as Abhirati, Sukhavati, or Tushita, you can do so by means of this present physical rebirth, right? So now here, some of you may, yeah, Sukhavati, not Sukhavati, this one, Abhirati, yeah, Ashubhaya, or this one. So here I want to clarify this Buddha, right? This Buddha. So this Buddha is not the Buddha of the 5 Buddha, right? So in the 5 Buddha, we will see the Akshobhaya, but that is not similar. But the name is same. The name is same, but it's a different Buddha, right? So this Buddha, who is this Buddha, right? So in Tibetan we call it Myoa, immovable, immovable. So this Buddha is immovable. So this Buddha is mainly, such a powerful practice for those who have created heavy negative karma. You know. So when it comes to purifying the heavy negative karma, this Buddha is very powerful. You can really make a great, purification by relying on this Buddha, Mitukpa. We call Mitukpa. Right. So if you look at this Buddha, right, this Buddha is a blue in color, holding the Vajra, right, on the right hand, holding the Vajra. So this is we call Mitukpa, immovable Buddha, And then his pure land, what his pure land look like, right? So his pure land is sometimes called as manifest joy, manifest joy. So manifest joy is a pure land. And then how, his pure land look like? Of course, then, in this Buddha, when we take the birth in this, manifest joy, in this his pure land, manifest joy, we can take the, we can receive the direct teaching from him. We can take the direct teaching from him. And not only this Buddha, and then there is a two-sided Buddha, with, mm, this Buddha, and there are two-sided, Bodhisattva, actually Buddha. And then in his pure land also lives Vajrasattva, Buddha Vajrasattva. So you can take, make a lot of purification practice, you can receive the empowerment from the Buddha Vajrasattva in his pure land, right? So what does his pure land look like is, it's a kind of like, you know, in his pure land, mostly, how do we take a birth? How do we take a birth is we take the birth in the lotus. Again, if you look at the many of the Buddha's pure land, when we take the birth in the pure land, mainly we take the birth in the lotus. So similarly, in this Buddha, when we take a birth in this pure land, his pure land, we take again lotus, and then there are, the birds, there are goose, the ducks, and so these are to welcome you. And then when he give the teaching, all they are solitary realizers, hearers, Hinayana practitioner, and then bodhisattvas. And then you may wonder why there is Hinayana practitioner, right? He's supposed to give the Mahayana teachings, So not that way. All the, many of his, those who seek the liberation, those beings are the emanation from his mind. These are the emanation from his mind. So even the lotus, even the, you see, you see the birds, the geese, wild goose, all these, animals, they are not the real animal, but look like, acting like animal. But in reality, this is the emanation of from his mind, this Buddha's mind, right? This Buddha's mind. And then, if we were take birth in his pure land, how long are we going to live? We may wonder, right? If we take the birth in his pure land, we don't need to worry about, oh, I'm getting old age, I'm have to, getting old age, I have this problem, that problem. There is not a single, problem in this his pure land. Everything is, how is it possible? Because everything is in his pure land is the production of the merit, not that. And then the celestial palace, if you look at the mansion, his celestial mansion, everything is the, uh, decorated with the priceless, the stones, the priceless, jewels, these things. These are not something that somebody brought it from the earth and then somebody go there and making the house like here. Not like in this way, right? Everything is the creation of his pure merit. So, right now, how long are we going to live, And do we need to worry about the food? Do we need to worry about the shelter? No, you don't have to. We don't have to. We don't have to worry anything once we take the birth in His pure land, right? And then, because if you want to, if you think, oh, I have to eat food, automatically the food comes right in front of you, ready made, right? And then how long we are going to live? Now here in His pure land, one day, right? One day is amount equal to 1 eon of this earth. 1 eon, one great eon. So how long we are going to live? When our universe, when our world goes through the destruction, abundance, first creation, abundance, then destroyed, then empty. It takes so long, unimaginably long. So that amount, one day in this His pure land is equal to the one great eon. That means we are not going to die easily. Within, no matter how dull we are, when we in His pure land, within four, when we receive the 4 times teaching, we achieve the path of seeing. We achieve the path, spiritual path, right away. So this is the characteristics of this Buddha's pure land, right? And then and then we may wonder, oh, so we are going to live that so long. There's some may feel is it not boring? There's no such boring. In the pure land, there is no such boring, because right now sometimes we think, we are thinking, we cling more to this life. Because of this, we think, it's something like, a problem here and there, a boring life. In the Buddhist pure land, there is no such boring, because everything is the pure, created out of the pure merit, the pure mind. So there is not a single thing like the boring like this not heard in His pure land, right? So then, in that year, in that so long, as I said, one day in the one day in His pure land equal to one great year is unimaginable. We cannot imagine, right? So then the question comes: are we going to pass away? Are we going to die? Now, in His pure land, right? In this Buddha's pure land, again, we could say, that thing like that exists. The death exists. But then again, we do not think like this here, how the death occurs in this. The beings in this pure land, when they die, what they do is they no need to, put in the electric, the chamber, uh, no need to bring to the, cemetery, like not such thing, no need of this. What really do is, what really happens is, when the time for, passing away comes, then their body automatically dissolve into the cloud. Sometimes they disappear into the dazzling rain. So this is how they pass away. Now, after we, in His pure land, now when our life is exhausted in His pure land, where do we take rebirth? Are we going to take rebirth in the desired limb again to go through, right? Or in the lower limb? No. Once you pass away, now you make the prayer. Oh, you develop the wish. I'm going to visit another Buddha's pure land. You are going to take a birth in Buddha's pure land, another Buddha's pure land. So this is how it is done in His pure land. We call it Mitupa, Buddha Mitupa, immovable. So this is something very powerful for the creating those who created heavy negative karma. For that, Buddha is excellent for making the purification. Right. Now I will talk about the Sukhavati. Sukhavati. Sugawati is Pure Land. Sugawati is Pure Land. Okay. Oh, this Buddha material, yeah, not this one, not this one, yeah, this one, brother. Yeah, this one, yeah. So in the Sukhavati Pure Land, that is, Buddha Amitabha, right? Buddha Amitabha, well known, I don't know much. in in Vietnam also very popular, in China also very popular, Sukhavati Pure Land, and also in Tibet, Tibet also very popular, right? So, so this Buddha again, so it is said that taking a rebirth in his Pure Land again, is as compared to others a little bit easy, but one need to really create a tremendous amount of merit, tremendous amount of merit. So again, in his Pure Land, everything is pure. There is not a single human being committing negative action. There's nobody committing 10 non-virtuous action in his Pure Land. Of course, in many Buddha's Pure Land, there is no commitment of 10 non-virtuous action. Everything, everybody led a pure life. And then again, when it comes to taking birth, you take the birth in the the lotus, the lotus, very huge, very huge lotus. And then when you take a walk, the lotus, the petals are very smooth, extremely smooth. Sometimes you feel the jumping, the lotus petals are also jumping, so then again you take a rebirth in the lotus, again there are so many beautiful animals, so many attractive and beautiful animals, beautiful animals. And this again here are here to welcome you to his Pure Land, and then uh, uh, so at this point, Ananda, Ananda asked Buddha, Buddha, you told that in the Pure Land of Amitabha, there is no suffering, but there is a goose, there is a wild animals, there is a, the ducks, the birds, these are suffering. Buddha say, Ananda, this is not a suffering. This is not the real animal. This is the emanation of the Buddha, Buddha Amitabha's heart, Buddha Amitabha's mind. Buddha Amitabha's mind. And in this in Pure Land, once we have taken birth in this Pure Land, right now, sometimes, in this world, for example, I have some headache, I have some stomach ache, I have this problem, that problem. There again, this kind of thing is not existed in this Pure Land. All the, even the delusions, even the negative thoughts are ceased. How? Because of the power of the Pure Land of the Sukhavati, because of the power of his own Pure Land, and also such a powerful prayers, the merit, such a powerful merit created by this Buddha Amitabha. So in this Pure Land, what you are going to receive is all the limitless number of teaching. So again, the life expectancy in his Pure Land is again 1 eon, one great eon. One great eon, I mean, one day is equal to one great eon. Now imagine, maybe you are going to take, you are going to live for 100 years in his Pure Land. That means you are going to live for 100 eons. You cannot count. Unimaginably long. In that duration, there's no problem that you are going to achieve enlightenment. In this very, once you take a birth in his Pure Land, you are not going to the desired realm. you would achieve enlightenment, most probably in his Pure Land. And then if you wish, you can visit other Pure Land. You can visit others Pure Land, other Buddha's Pure Land, and make the offerings, and then create a lot of merit over there also. And then you come back also here in his Pure Land. So when we talk about the qualities of the characteristics and the qualities, the features of Buddha's Pure Land, is I'm just trying to explain as much as I could, but in reality, it's beyond our imagination. You can't imagine. We cannot imagine easily. Beyond our concept comprehension, right? So this is briefly about the Buddha, Amitabha. So therefore, if you want to take a rebirth, as I said, if you really want to take a rebirth in the Pure Land, first you need to have less clinging, less attached to this life, and then have a very strong desire to go to the Pure Land at the time of death. We have a very strong desire in this life, and then try to go. It's no way. This is not. It does not work. It does not work in that way. You're totally attached, detached. At that point of death, do not have single clinging attached. Therefore, in the Sutra Bhava, it talks about having detached at the point of death. And then you need to have some structure how the Pure Land look like. With this, then you are able to go to the Pure Land, with your power of merit, and also due to your, at the time of death, develop the wish to desire to go to the Pure Land. So this is how we take the birth in the Pure Land. Then Tushita, Buddha Matriya's Pure Land, Buddha Matriya. Buddha Matriya, right? This one. Buddha Matriya. Yeah, this Buddha Matriya. So Buddha Matriya's Pure Land, as I said, all the Buddhas right now, this is Buddha Matriya. Buddha Matriya is giving the teaching. When the time for his coming to on this earth arrives, he gives his seat to another Buddha, the next Buddha of the fortunate eon. The next Buddha is Buddha Lion's Roar. So he is going to give, give his seat to next Buddha, Buddha Matriya. So then Buddha Lion's Roar will overtake the seat, and then it belongs to him for the time being. Then he gives the teaching on this Tushita. So what really happened is, before Buddha Matriya is in this, Tushita, who was staying here? Buddha Shakyamuni, our time Buddha, he was staying here in this Pure Land, right? In this Pure Land. And then Buddha Matriya also giving a lot of teaching and surrounded by limitless numbers of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. We don't right now is a picture, right? We just see the small thing, but in reality, limitless numbers of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas receiving the teachings from him continuously. And then, on his, Pure Land, there are many big, very big, garden. In the garden, there are, pond. There are ponds. There are pond, pond. There are pond, and then around the pond are very big lotuses. The lotus is grown. Lotus, lotus flower. The lotus flower grown. And then on the lotus flower, each lotus flower, there are 24 goddesses. Stays. 24 goddesses. That's sitting, and these goddesses now play the musical instrument, play a very beautiful musical instrument, making the sound of the 6 perfections, all the dharma teaching. Then when we take the birth in his Pure Land, what really happened is, again, we are taking the lotus, we take the birth in the lotus in his Pure Land. We take the birth in his lotus. Then when the when the lotus blossom, right? When the lotus blossom, then you are in the meditative state in this lotus, and then you are surrounded by all the gods, at this point, celestial gods, only no female gods, only the goddesses. So these goddesses now, they throw the flower at you to welcome you. They throw the flowers to welcome you, right? So then, let me bring. Then these goddesses will guide you. These goddesses, you are in the lotus, right? So these goddesses will guide you. Now, you are here. You are in the pure land of Tushita. So in the pure land, now you need to take the refuge in the Buddha Matriya. You are guided. So then you are, you take the refuge, and you also, are being asked to do the prostration. So you do the prostration in the presence of Buddha Matriya. When you do the prostration in the Buddha Matriya, from the Buddha Matriyas, from the eyebrow, the rays of light comes. And these rays of light, when touches your body, you are blessed to live for 90 eons. You are blessed to live for 90 eons. So then you imagine, so in his pure land, again, limitless number of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Avalokiteshvara is there, all the great masters are there. So everything is pure and perfect. So this is about, so I'm trying to go roughly, detail take so many time. Yeah. Then, so you want to hear more, or, we just go through? I just, after the pure land, I just stop, or need to I want to explain more. Okay. So,
So Ben, just want to interrupt you a little bit. So the question is, should we go further deeper into the different realms of celestial realms, or should we stop here and let's see if anyone has questions, and then maybe we can take a vote and come back next week. Is that okay with everyone?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, then we continue, or what?
Một bạch quên, thầy thầy cứ giảng tiếp ạ, giảng tiếp về quá trình độ ạ.
So then they're requesting that you continue with the celestial realms.
Okay, sure. Okay.
And they're very interested in the Tara realm.
I see. Okay.
Hannah?
So, no.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Fred. Go ahead.
Quick question.
Okay.
Quick
Yes.
question. How did we go? Where I'm reading in the Lam Rim, which
ahead.
is within the first 100 pages, is about the hell realms in detail, and I appreciate Ven's discussion. But then we jump to celestial realms. So where is that in the Lam Rim? I know they're connected, but where is it later in the Lam Rim, or is it in the early stages of the palm of your hands book?
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, this so I try to explain about the Pure Land, because I'm trying to explain, here relating to, if you want to go to pure land such as, Abhirati, Sukhavati, or Trishita, you can do so by means of this present physical rebirth, right? So we say, even, we are taking all the, opportunity, to see and understand that this precious birth is so valuable, and you can take, birth even in the, a limitless number of the Buddha's pure land, limitless number of Buddha's pure land. Actually,
Right.
Actually, the mention of these are, it comes in the, this Vajrayana teaching, right? Vajrayana, for example, mainly if you talk about the deities, of course, Tushita, yeah, it relates to the sutra teachings, sutra teachings, where there's other, many of the other Buddhas, pure lame, these are, found in, Buddha's, sutra teachings, like, staking the precious, staking the jewels, Buddha mentions, the
Uh-oh, we lost transmission.
Ben? Hold on, everyone.
Shit, I thought it was done. God.
Xin mọi người đợi tí nhé, tại vì thầy bị rớt mạng.
Way over the
Nhờ Zoom host cho thầy lên panel.
Okay.
So then, since we only have about 10 more minutes, let's just ask a couple of questions, and then we will continue with the teaching next week. So something that you mentioned earlier that I thought is very interesting, and I just wanted to ask and clarify. The key thing you said is, even though we desire to be reborn in these celestial realms, the higher realms. But the key at the time of death and during Bardo, we shouldn't have that attachment, because we are taught, a lot of Vietnamese are into the practice of chanting Amitabha. And they are taught to chant that even when they're about to die and be reborn. So this attachment, chanting, is it not a form of attachment, or is that just a sincere desire and wishes to be rebirth in that Pure Land? So a little bit needs a little bit clarification, just so we know what we should do during Bardo or at the time of death. Thank you, Ven.
Well, there's not question, right?
That is my question. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. This one can recite the Amitabha's prayer while one visualize the structure of the Pure Land. So Amitabha's Pure Land. So having some idea and the structure of the Pure Land is very important. While one recite the Amitabha's the mantra, right? So and also the very important is that the faith, the devotion, in the Amitabha and Amitabha's Pure Land. So, for example, right, so there's a one, there's a one old monk, and then, at the point of death, he was not dying easily because, he's attached to, a little bit in the bhakti, because he used to enjoy a lot, bhakti. So, but because of this bhakti, he is really clinging on to the bhakti. So not make him leave the body. So then somebody say, oh, if you like the bhakti is really very good, more nice, more delicious in the Tushita. As soon as he heard, this kind of thing, then he easily, he pass away peacefully. So something like this, attached to these things, is the obstruction, taking the birth in the Pure Land. Yeah, this I don't elaborate this also how it needs, yeah, there's a lot of explanation that I can give, but it takes time, So for the time being, I will leave, and then at some other time, I can explain more, elaborate more on this. So then, then somebody, yeah, asked, so then, in the Pure Land, the Buddhas, in the Pure Land, the how long you are going to live in this, we don't have to worry about this, Once we get there, we are going to achieve enlightened, because you are taken care of by Buddhas, these enlightened beings, in the Pure Land. And not only that, for example, right now, if you look into the, some of the Buddha like, Buddha Vajra essence, and then we have also the Buddha Samantarapata, and also we have the Buddhas like proclaim supreme Dharma, which is one of the medicine Buddha, one of the among 8 medicine Buddha. So if you look into the Pure Land, how long you are going to live, you are going to live to the equal number of the sand particles on this earth. That means you're going. It look like you're going to live endlessly in this Pure Land, the Buddha that I mentioned, right? So more than this, there are limitless numbers of Buddhas. They surrounded by Buddhas, the Bodhisattvas, the Dakhas, the Dakinis, the protectors, and so will not a single negative the action is being committed over there. And then we have somebody, they want to listen to the this one, right? What's that? Yuluko, yeah. So Taras Pure Land is called Yuluko. Okay, here Taras Pure Land. Taras Pure Land is Yuluko. This is the Yuluko. Yeah, this is very good. So again, here Tara, so again, if you happen to go to, the Pure Land of the Tara, you look, there are many, trees, trees, the same like this. You are born from the lotus, you are going to live so many, and then mainly, you do see the wildlife in the Tara Pure Land, but they are harmless. They don't harm you. They are harmless. They're all emanation of the Taras, mind. And then when you go this, sometime when we smell the flower, when you smell the flower, right? What happened? You get the allergy, right? We get allergy sometimes. Some people get allergy in the Taras pure land. You get different kinds of flowers. Mainly the forest, forest different. These forests, produce a lot of good smelling, fragments. There is no worry that we get allergy. The smell really gives you the kind of the joy and happiness, right? And then we may wonder if that is the such a beautiful pure land, and then Tara is usually Tara's pure land and Avalokiteshvara's pure land is there mixed. Avalokiteshvara's pure land is on the top, that is called Potala. Potala is the Avalokiteshvara pure land, and then bottom is the pure land of the Tara. So Tara and Avalokiteshvara very closely related, So therefore, for example, if you do meditate more on compassion, loving compassion, because Avalokiteshvara is related with compassion. So if you meditate more on the for example, like loving compassion for Avalokiteshvara, when you pray to the Tara, when we pray to the Tara, the help that we receive from Tara is more quicker, more spontaneous, because they are very closely related with us. They're closely related with us. You can from the Tara, you can go easily to the Potala pure land, Avalokiteshvara pure land. From the Avalokiteshvara, you can cross easily to the Tara's pure land. And then all the don't think that this pure land they are celestial. These are celestial. All these are again priceless, different kinds of jewels. Different, the rare and the most unobtainable jewels. Because why it is unobtainable is because these are not the something that raw material. These are the creation of the Tara's pure heart, the countless merit, right? So like this, then and then on the Taras, on the space, and there are different kinds of light, different kinds of light in the form of like umbrella in the sky. You will see that different kinds of kind of like the umbrella in the shape of umbrella, different kinds of light. So in this, again, you don't have to, we don't have to worry. There's something, this problem, and that you are going to live for many many eons, right? So one of the thing is that when you go there, in the Tara pure land, of course, in some cases, in many of the Buddhas, after you die, your body, you cannot bring your body to the pure land, right? Only one Buddha's pure land where you can carry your body. Now that is Vajrayogana's pure land. In the Vajrayogana's pure land, without even abandoning your body, this body that we have, you can bring even to the Buddha's pure land. That's our Pichara, Vajrayogana's pure land, right? So anyway, in taking the birth in the in the pure land, again, your spiritual training goes very smoothly, very nicely. There, nobody is coming to disturb us, right? There is nobody. There is no distraction in the Tara's pure land, right? Now, you may wonder, is it possible to go to pure land in this life like this, right? If we, the thing is that we need some devotion. we need some devotion to go to the Pure Land. Right? For example, like, I mean, there are some, there are some, some practitioner who visited to the Pure Land. For example, like Yuluko Tara Pure Land. There's one lady, like, of course, she is a Dagini in the human form. So she visited the Pure Land, like the lady by the name of the one we call returning back from the death, So there are some persons that I have that I understand, that I went through their biographies. There are almost 12 or 13 people from Tibet. I'm talking about in Tibet, not here. There are 12 person, not all. I saw three person visited the Pure Land. One person by the name of Dawaduma, she visited the Pure Land. She visited the Pure Land after after she passed away. She at a certain age, she got sick. She was she got sick, and then slowly she passed away, and eventually she passed away, and then she visited the Pure Land of Yulugo, and then she explained how the Pure Land looks like. She returned there after maybe a few months after visiting the Pure Land, right? And then there are there are some there's another one lady by the name of Tenzi, something like Tenzi children, right? Tenzi children, Dawaduma, she happened around 19th century. Tenzi Chugi in 18th century. So sudden disease, her in her biography it says first she entered becoming a nun at the age of maybe 17, and then the age of 18, 17 she became a nun, and then 18, 19, 20 she undertook the retreat for 3 years, and then after 3 years somehow she was stricken with some unknown disease, and then doctor there are some prayers, all seems to fail to make her recover. Then her slowly she then finally passed away, and then after passed away she again visited many Buddha's Pure Land, many Buddha's Pure Land, but that is not due to her power, but because of the one Dagini led her to visit all the Pure Lands, many of the Buddha's Pure Land, and then after coming back from the Pure Land, again this Dagini led her in the lower limbs, especially the hell land, the further land. So she did. As I said, the 12 biographies that I have read, all of them said the so-called Pure Land does exist, Pardo does exist, hell does exist. This is the message that they have to tell to the people, to us, right? So
thank you, Ven, so much for bringing this up. I know, as Fred was asking earlier, to be able to understand and see what happens in our progress from being a human form until the time that we die and go into a bardo state, and the possibilities of where we end up. I think that kind of gives us an overall understanding of and motivation actually to do good, and also a desire to know where we end up. Like for me, we always talked about there's Amitabha land, Pure Land, but there's also what you point out today, and as we can see, there's also many other Pure Land. So you choose a deity that you want to devote your practice to, and have that desire to, when you pass away, to go into that Pure Land. I think that's kind of helpful also.
So the question?
Yeah, I'm just making some comments, man. I just want to say thank you.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, just want to say thank you for showing us this.
Okay, sure.
And it's helpful. So we will continue again next week. There's a few more Pure Lands that you haven't talked about, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. So
Okay.
let's do dedication
Yeah,
today.
dedication. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, everyone.
Jawadi yoga sonai shi so sonai shi le jung tan ba kong yin to ba sho to ba tan to ba da chen ba dan ne re ba ta ne sin ji du jin ne na ken ja shi yo shi jawadi yin yo da la ma zan je ro yo ne do wa ji ge ma le ba te sa da ko ba sho mi me ze we de jin je de se tin ne kin ba ba ma ja me han je ge we zo ge zo ga do sang de xiang lo so
Thank you so much, Ben.
Okay, thank you everybody for joining.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
Thank you, Rupra.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you, Rikushila.
Okay, yeah. Oh, thank you, yeah.
Thank you, Rikushila.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Pautaya.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, everyone. Yeah, thank you.
Ban tổ chức.
Dạ, thưa cảm ơn tất cả mọi người. Dạ, xin hẹn gặp tuần tới nhé. Dạ.